I'm Tim, the Brand Weaver, and this is Branding for Breweries, the podcast that helps you grow your brewery, build a better brand, and connect with more drinkers. Each week, I'm joined by the brightest minds in the beer world, sharing practical tips to help your brewery stand out and sell more beer. Let's get stuck in. What up, 24-hour party people? 'Tis I, Tim the Brand Weaver. Welcome to Branding for Breweries. You know what it is, you know what it's all about, but you don't know the guest that I have today. Or maybe you do. Maybe you've seen the promotional material. Maybe you're joining us live right now and you can already see that there is a name, which is Gareth Turner, who's going to be joining me today. But let me tell you a little bit about Gareth. He is a man after my own heart. He doesn't have any hair. He has a wonderful beard and he knows brand strategy. So those three things makes him a completely suitable and legitimate guest for the podcast beyond knowing anything about beer. But ladies and gentlemen, we are lucky because not only does he fit the criteria, but Gareth has worked for Heineken and many other phenomenal brands. But I've invited Gareth on today to talk about something that I've been noticing, right? I chat to you glorious brewery people, left, right, and center, day in, day out, and you are so busy. You're wearing multiple hats, spinning all the plates and juggling whatever you want. Combine all of those analogies into one, and you're still doing more. But the problem is, it's not always moving you forwards. But when I had a chat with Gareth, he had a couple of thoughts as to the reason why that might be. So that's enough of me chatting. Let's bring Gareth in. Let's have a good old chinwag, and let's see if we can help you out. Cue Gareth. Hello, sir.
Boom. That's the best intro I've ever had. Thank you, Tim. I've got a hat.
There we go.
I'll take it off to you, mate. Well done. Goodbye.
Oh, thank you, mate. Like I say to the guests, I need to come in strong. I've got to hit the level of energy, so we're going to try and ride that now.
It's only downhill from here.
Well, I was going to say we could just miserably plummet at this point, and it's just going to be dull as dishwater for 40 minutes, which I hope not, bud. Mate, thank you so much for joining me today. I couldn't think of anyone better to join me on this chat after I'm riding this goddamn jet lag after Philadelphia. So your energy is going to keep me going, mate. No pressure. But I suppose, where do we begin? Let's go blind date style, Gareth. What's your name and where'd you come from? And why do people want to listen to what we're about to wax lyrical about for 40 minutes?
Who knows? I'm Gareth Turner. I am ex-Diageo, Heineken, Arla Foods, Weetabix. Now run my own shizzle, a company called Big Black Door, where we take all that training and stuff and bring that to bear on smaller scaling brands. I am from London. I am a Crystal Palace season ticket holder. We're doing all right at the moment. And I live in Leeds, though, which is 240 miles away from Selhurst Park. So I don't get to many home games, but I'm going to Poland this week to go and watch them in Europe. So may the good times continue rolling. It's as good as they're ever going to get.
And see how we get on. Yeah, we can lead that into the footy later on. Oh, Gareth, mate, you've had phenomenal experience in the past and indeed right now working with brands to kind of identify how to communicate who they are, what they are, and why they are it. When you're looking at the brewing industry, do you see like these busy breweries? And why do you think we see like a lot of energy, a lot of busyness, but not potentially the growth to match it sometimes?
Well, I mean, yes, I see that. Who knows why? I can give you my guess as to why, but because busy and effective are different things. And I say that as a business owner as well, right? So I can see it in my own behaviors in the stuff I'm doing, right? There are occasions when one is under pressure, and if I'm being honest, you can be floundering a bit, right? You can be flip-flopping, you want to do as much as possible to make this business grow and be bigger, but that's not what's needed. I guess there's plenty of businesses and breweries that are full of motion. There's new beers, new social media posts, there's new launches, there's tweaking that, there's doing this, doing that event, the tap room. There's always something more you can be doing. But for me, and my training would tell me this, is that great marketing always starts with an understanding of the target audience, your consumer, your drinker, and then everything else spins off that. So if everything you're doing isn't in service of driving that thing forward, and we might talk about this in a bit, but that thing should be penetration driving activity. Can I get more people to buy my product, my beer today than bought it yesterday and the day before? Always getting more people in to buy your product. That's how you grow your brand. And if if the thing you're doing isn't delivering that, then you've got to ask yourself pretty quickly, well, is that the right thing to do? It might be something you just enjoy doing, and that's okay. But let's do it in knowledge that it's a thing you enjoy doing rather than something that's going to grow your business per se.
And I think that in itself is a real challenging, like, tipping point that I've spoken to brewers about before. It's like a lot of these breweries start 2-3 guys in the garage making beer for fun, all gets out of hand, all of a sudden, oh my Lord, we've got a brewery. But it's always been that kind of hobby mentality. How do you advise people to almost kind of lift the curtains or lift the veil to start to see your business as a business, I suppose, versus it just being a hobby that's going okay?
But I get both are fine, but one needs to do that in knowledge. Okay, so if you have ambition beyond a hobby, then you've got to think about your audience, what your audience need and want from beer. In this example, what you stand for, what they think of you, do they even know about you? All these questions, all these barriers to purchase. So, there are some very well grounded books on how brands grow, called How Brands Grow, right? Byron Sharp, and I'm a proponent of that. I have been in previous businesses. In a nutshell, if you can make your brand easy to think of, easy to find, easy to buy, and then easy to drink, then in simple terms, you're doing all right. And the barriers come off. You sort of decay at each of those points. So everything I would be doing if I wanted to grow my business, and for my business too, is in service of trying to get more people in through the front door, more people to buy my product than bought it yesterday and the day before. As I said, at Weetabix, we used to talk about an activity. We say, will this make the boat go faster? Because we knew that whatever our priority was for that year or 2 or 3 years, is the thing we're doing making the boat go faster? Is it driving the thing we're looking to do? And if the answer is no, then it asks a question, well, why are you doing it? And it helps one to prioritize. I don't think that business owners, brewery owners, they haven't got an effort problem, right? There's probably a prioritization or a focus problem. And actually you, as the founder of a brewery / business / food business, whatever it is you aren't your target audience. You've got loads of baggage. It's positive baggage, right? Because you've got expertise and knowledge and a refined palate, perhaps, all these things. But you need to put yourself in the shoes of your consumer, your drinker, and really understand what it is they want from a brand and a business like yours. And that's not demographics. That's not how old they are. It's an attitude. It's an occasion. It's a need. That's very different to demographics. Play a part in media targeting and other things, but I would be getting right into how my current drinkers and my growth audience, and we might touch on this again later on, and short-term, medium-term, long-term growth, where that's coming from, what they're thinking of me, what's stopping them buying me, what do I need to say to them, all these kind of things. It just brings focus and alignment to the effort, and that's how you grow your brand. It's not about reducing the effort, it's about getting it all pulling in the same direction.
Oh, there's a lot to unpack.
Sorry, mate. I halfway through that, I realised I was wanging on. So well done for not stopping me there. Sorry.
It was a tremendous wanging effort, my man. I was just like making mental notes, going, right, we've got to talk about this bloody boat now and this target consumer and stuff. But if we go back to the analogy, like,
3 years, go back.
If you talk about like what will make the boat go faster, but there's also, from my side of things, it's like faster towards a place. So is that where we talk about kind of like what the North Star is, what the purpose is, what the business goal is, right?
Yeah. So, and what's what's stopping you? So if I played out that Weetabix example, okay, and I should caveat, everything I'm saying here, but I've got big brand experience, and some of the examples I'm going to give are going to be from big brands, right? But the fundamentals are the same. If anything, a smaller scaling brand needs even more rigor and focus than a big brand because they got money to waste, right? Most brands don't have that, and the brands we're working with now don't have that. But if I come back to Weetabix, so if easy to think of, easy to find, easy to buy, right? They're the three things that I need to focus on to grow penetration, to grow brand, the number of shoppers who are buying us. Easy to think of. Well, Weetabix has 98% prompted awareness, right? That's pretty good. So easy to think of is not a problem. And their consideration set was strong.
What do you mean by consideration set?
So sorry, yes, thank you, Tim.
Stop speaking Brandonese and talk normal.
Mate, sorry, I'll do, after this call, I'll do 10 press-ups as punishment. So when you say to people, broadly, would you consider buying this? You go, yeah, I would. It's sort of in people's personal repertoire of product, and for beer, especially craft beer and cask ale, that is very important because people have a repertoire of 4 or 5 of their go-to pints, right? That they're going to want, or go-to drinks. So consideration wasn't a problem, but our penetration had been declining. So the number of people buying our products had been declining every year for 15 years. So we did a load of research and we found out the thing that was stopping us winning was visibility in store, right? And that's not on shelf because Weetabix, think about the shelves in the supermarkets, like loads of great brand blocking there, right? So it's not about there. We were getting outgunned in the front of store. So suddenly we've got a very specific, focused job for the sales team, the manufacturing team when we're making packs, the marketing team to focus in on is how do we get at least our fair share of visibility in the front of store. So that was our North Star for 2 or 3 years.
Right. And
then you come back to this idea of will the boat go faster? So I'm making this up here, but if somebody said, I've got an innovation idea, Gareth, I've got strawberry jam flavored Weetabix. The first question you ask is, great, well, first thing, great idea. Thanks for coming to me with the idea. Will that help us get visibility in store? Will that make the boat go faster? Actually, that might do that silly idea. Yeah, okay, great. Okay, actually, I'm listening to this now. So because we might get a special feature space in the front of store off the back of that MPD. So yeah, that's the lens you use, and that keeps everyone focused on the big goal. It might be a medium-term goal, 1 or 2 years, but the big goal is, can we get more people buying our products today than bought it yesterday?
I love that. And I think it makes so much sense because, like we say, that directs all of that activity towards the one core goal versus this kind of scattergun or pebble dashing, what analogy you want to use, approach where it can really fall through the gaps. Is there an order in which, like a brewery, a small indie brewery, should go through those 3 core elements that you talked about? Because I assume visibility isn't important if people aren't aware of you, right? You have to go. Is it a 1, 2, 3?
No. Great question. I think so. I've used easy to think of, easy to find, easy to buy, easy to drink. I forget easy to drink, right? Because that kind of, you've got to back yourself on your product.
That's table stakes, man. Like
if you've got something that's a bit too challenging, you've got to ask yourself, your growth can be limited, right? Although Guinness has done a pretty good job on it. That's quite a challenging pint, right? But by the by. So easy to think of, easy to find, easy to buy. In the book, How Brands Grow, he talks about mental availability, how easily your product springs to mind. So I fancy a beer today. Oh, I know, I'm going to have a Beavertown, whatever it is, neck oil. And then easy to find is physical availability, which is, well, okay, I fancy a neck oil today. Where can I go and find it? Now, so I think for big brands like Beavertown or for Heineken or for Guinness or whoever it is, mental availability is the thing, because they got physical availability pretty much sorted. Weetabix, tell me a supermarket that hasn't got Weetabix in it, right? There are none. So if someone wants it, they can go and find it easily. But I think for most small growing breweries and other brands, actually making it easy to find physical availability would probably be where I start, because there's no point in advertising, marketing. There's no point in spending loads of money and doing that if someone just can't even find you and buy you. So that to me would be my number one job. That could be D2C, right? It could be some of that, but there are barriers there to purchase. Suddenly I've got to pay a bit more. I can't just pick up 4 cans. I've got to buy a whole case, and I've got to pay some delivery charges. I've got to do some other things that are going on there. But I'd be focusing on making my brand easy to find, and then, and I'm doing the wanging on bit again, I know, Tim, but then a function of being visible in store, making your brand easy to find, is actually your awareness goes up as well. So
if we take the easy to find route as the path here, because it makes a lot of sense, I understand it, then it's the case of going, well, how do I make it easy to find? Because I can't just rock up into any supermarket or corner shop and be like, here's my beer. And they go, oh, why, thank you very much, Mr. Brewer, sir. We don't have any of this wonderful liquid we call it.
What is this yellow stuff?
Yeah, pray tell, I will put it on the shelves immediately. What is that? There's got to be a bit behind it. It might be like, is it the target person that you're talking to? Is it the story that you tell? Like, where do we go from going, right, yes, we need to increase visibility, but then we've got to do it, right?
So, well, yeah, so availability, I think you got to, my number one job would be to increase availability. And I think then awareness and being easy to think of comes to mind. It is easier to achieve. So how would I go about increasing availability? I come back to a target audience. So everything starts with a target audience. Where are they hanging out? What are they doing? Where are they drinking? And it could be it could start locally. It could be that you've got a brand that's I live in Leeds, right? It's in Oakwood in Leeds. And actually my number one job is to get in the convenience stores in and around, independent convenience stores in and around Oakwood in Leeds. I might choose to then speak to a couple of the independent free trade pubs in the local area. So that would be start quite small and making, for my target audience who've got a certain attitude, who drink in certain pubs, I'd be going to those people and do my best to get as broad distribution as I can, be as available as I can in quite a tight geography. That's where I'd start. And then you've got I forget what they call it now, in war, like you've got your bridgehead there, you've got your starting point, you put your flag in there, and then you can go out. It's one for the kids, the start of Dad's Army, with the arrows are sort of going out.
Yeah,
just like that.
That's how you treat your penetration of the market, just like Dad's Army.
Exactly.
So I get that. Okay, this is the kind of person I want drinking my beer. They're probably going to be going to X, Y, and Z indie shops around the place. But then the fall down point is you're not talking to that drinker to get your beer in the shop. You're talking to the shop owner, the purchaser, whoever it is. And that's a different consumer, correct?
Yes. Well, yes. So there are many stakeholders, right, in this, and it could be actually as a wholesaler in the middle as well. Right. I mean, that's another way in, right? But let's compress this to keep it manageable in the remaining time.
Track. Right. I get you.
We've already established I can go on, but so I've got. I'm going to at the end, or I can send it to you, Tim. I've got some links to some helpful documents. One of the documents I've got, like a sort of download page on my website where I just keep all this sort of shit, all this valuable material. Sorry. Is one which it's a template of a selling deck that I've used over the years to retailers. Now I accept that you may not use the full, shooting match for bells and whistles for Dave in the local convenience store, but the principle still applies. That for Dave, who's got that independent convenience store, you're talking about how you're going to help him to make more money in that example, and you'll do that by this is some research I've done into my drinkers. They're actually shopping in these 3 stores around the corner from you. They're not shopping at you. So actually, you're losing out on these shoppers who are coming in to buy a 4-pack of Gareth's favourite beer. They might also buy a packet of Rothmans or whatever people are buying nowadays. I don't know, packet of crisps. But you're making more money on other stuff as well. So I'd be the principle of selling into Tesco is exactly the same as the principle of selling into Dave in that made-up convenience store, that you're showing them how they're missing out on something, that there's an opportunity for them. If it's the size of prize, what people are saying about your brand, how much they're paying for your brand, what rate of sale you're getting in the shops around the corner. All these kind of the fundamentals are the same, but just the level of robusticity, is that a word, of your data is now, thank you mate, is going to be less if you're just talking about your local audience versus a whole £250,000 Nielsen read. You don't need that. You can do stuff in your own geography, but bring some data to this to show how you're going to grow their business.
I get it, and I love it. And we've got who is it? TMJ Beer Reviews. They're talking about there's other things, like there's a Real Ale Finder app. So if you have a particular consumer, getting on those kind of apps, those listings, they've even talked about QR codes or lists for stockists for breweries. And I think when we talk about consumer, those are other great ways that you can help your drinker to establish we're in all these places, right?
I guess, but they're for people who. So yes, I absolutely agree with that. But they're for people who already know about your brand, right? So that might be going from somebody who's bought you once to bought you twice. The big win is going from someone who's bought you no times to someone who's bought you once. So going from 0 to 1 is always the biggest win. They're going from 1 to 2 or 2 to 3. Yeah. So with limited money, which I accept most people in this environment have, that they're great ideas. Use your own channels to publicize the thing that you do and where you can get it, and you give yourself half a chance, right? But the big win comes from telling people who don't know about you where to get you, that people have never heard of you. So you're doing 2 things. It's Gareth's great beer available at the Dog and Duck, right? That's doing 2 jobs. It's telling people about Gareth's great beer. It's just MPD ideation in
ideation here. Keep your eyes out, people. It's coming.
And then watch out for this. And then you're also saying where to get it. So they're the bigger wins, but it's a bit more expensive to do that and a bit more effort. But when you know what it is you need to say about Gareth's great beer, that it's refreshing or it's hoppy or whatever the requirements of your target audience are, then you could find those people online relatively easily for not too much money in your geography. You can find them and tell them about this thing they're looking for that they may not have heard about, and then where to get it.
So this, to me, it makes complete sense. It's logical. It's like, right, we want to grow. We are going to grow in this particular area by doing this with this kind of person. So why, in your mind, what's your theory on why so many breweries don't do that and they jump into, let's make a cool looking can, or let's change it from red to green, or let's just put another social media post out there, versus that foundational groundwork?
My hunch is that stuff and things is more attractive than thinking, right? Stuff and things demonstrates progress, and it demonstrates, I'm doing stuff. Whereas thinking can potentially be seen as inertia when it's done badly. I would advocate, and I know, right? This is my thing. I work with brands that do that thinking up front, and then we hand off to other people to do the doing, right? Generally speaking. So I know I have an agenda there, right? But that thinking means that everything else follows seamlessly and is more effective and efficient when you've done that thinking. So in that Weetabix example, we're not darting off to think, well, I need another pack size of this and another, I'm going to do a social media post about that. Is that going to help us get visibility in store, Gareth? No. Okay. So should we stop doing that? And that's a great discipline. So knowing what your foundations are, how you're going to grow your business, and that's through growing penetration for 99% of businesses, then that helps you to know what not to do. I'll give you an example. We saw a brief a while ago of it was for a cask ale brand, and this is a common thing. People go, we're too traditional. We need to be more modern. Okay, right. That's plausible. Genuinely plausible. But do you know that? Do you know you need to be perceived to be more modern? Because from what I can make out, the number one brand in cask ale at the moment is Timmy Taylor's Landlord, and there is no more traditional beer than Timmy Taylor's Landlord. Mm-hmm. Are we certain that it's modernity that's going to grow the category, or do we just think there might be another reason at play here? Do we think that maybe your pricing's wrong? Do we think maybe, heaven forbid, your product tastes a bit shit? Or maybe you haven't got your distribution sorted, or something else? So why don't we find those things out first before we spend 50 grand on a full brand redesign to make us look more modern? But to do that bit of thinking, that bit of research, that doesn't demonstrate progress. But it's the right thing to do. It will save you money in the long term, and because even if you do need to do a bit of a brand tweak, then you're doing it in knowledge and you know exactly what it is you need to tweak. Not we just want to be a bit more modern, which is so. To answer your question, I think there's a human bias towards action and doing things. And often when I say, just slow down a little bit here, are these the right things to be doing? That could be perceived as being the sort of computer says no department. It's not. It's about making sure that every penny you're spending is moving your counter forward.
And interesting you use Timmy Taylor's, because I've had conversations with various team members there, and your example of like, well, is it really packaging? But one of the things Timmy's is dedicated to is like, we serve 40 plus people. That's who we appeal to. So actually, the flipping your cap around backwards, being the cool kid, is not what they want to be. They just want to be there for the drinker when they reach. And so if you're a cask brewery going like, we've got to get a younger generation in, that immediately might be the wrong way to get the ship going faster, or the boat going faster, as you mentioned.
Yes, and if your growth ambition is, I want to grow from X to Y, then you can do that in a number of ways, right? You can bring new drinkers in, and that could be through MPD, right? It might be you need a different brand. It might be, I'm being unfair to Landlord, right? Because Timmy Taylor's, it's my go-to beer. I absolutely love Landlord. If they want to grow with a younger cohort, they might need to create a different brand, right? Because the two things is going to just clash with each other and will destroy the Timothy Taylor brand will stop sort of a sub brand for young kids, and vice versa. It will just distract and pull apart. So I'd be both are plausible strategies, but they'd require different solutions. But you only know that through understanding what your business growth objectives are, working out what can our brand do that thing, what are our consumers saying, how do we grow that thing. It's just that it's the thinking bit up front.
Yeah. We got an amen from Just Disco Beer Review there. Rebranding for the sake of rebranding might not be the way forward. Damn straight. And this leads me on to my next thing, because I know that this show is listened to by a plethora of people who do different roles within a brewery, but you might have a salesperson or a marketing person or someone who's wearing multiple hats, but they're not the owner. And the owner has a dominant idea as to how they want to take the brand forward. But you can see from the outside that it might not be the best way. But some brewery owners, some brewery founders, there's an ego situation there, I suppose. any hints and tips to support those people who are actually in the trenches, trying to move the brand forward and doing great things, but coming up against this rock of an opinion?
But that's not the sole territory of founder-led breweries. Let me tell you, having worked in some very big businesses, they say opinions are like arseholes, right? Everyone's got one. Unfortunately, some people, well, not unfortunately, a founder, an owner of a business actually has a very legitimate opinion, right? Because it's their blooming business. So, I mean, ultimately, it's their decision, and they can do what they want with their business. All we can do is be the champion of the drinker in brewery terms inside the business. So, in different departments in businesses, I'm speaking, Heineken experience here, right? The sales team is the voice of the customer. The trade marketing team is the voice of the shopper. The marketing team is the voice of the consumer, the drinker. Everyone's championing their voice within the business. So your job as a marketeer is to champion the drinker inside the business. And as we know, as I said, all good marketing growth should come from a deep understanding of your target audience. So nodding to the fact that ultimately it is that person's decision as a founder, I'll be taking a step back, say, okay, if you've got a growth ambition of this, and I think standing shoulder to shoulder with somebody to solve the same problem together is normally a better way than just butting up against somebody. So in that example, I'll be saying, here, Jane, you want to grow your business from X to Y. We think, here's some data that shows you how we map that out. We think actually getting this number of drinkers of this thing to do that X number of times a year will get you that growth ambition. And the way to do that is to do A, B, and C. So you're coming back to the ambition that they've already set, and you're leaning into the thing that they want to do. And if you genuinely believe that the thing the latest project they're working on isn't going to do that, that's a conversation. So, okay, we agreed that that's the objective here. So will that new banana flavored beer, is that going to bring more people in to or whatever the objective is? So and it might do, and you might, but you got half a chance if you're taking a step back and you're standing shoulder to shoulder. You're not saying I don't agree with that thing, because you're just meeting opinion with opinion, and they've got a more important opinion than you, right? Because it's their business. You ain't going to win that argument. But if you just take a step back and bring data to that gunfight, then you might have half a chance.
You mentioned data a couple of times, and I think this is a tricky problem to overcome for a lot of the smaller indie breweries, because I appreciate your big Weetabixes and Heinekens, they can pay for good data. You can get some really solid data. But when you're a smaller indie brewery, you don't have that financial backing to unlock reams and reams. Where can breweries be looking to start to almost try and piece together that information for themselves?
Yeah, but it's a great point, Tim. Again, I accept that I've been blessed over the years with I've been blessed with people who can do that data analysis for me. That's what I've been blessed with. But you don't need expensive data. You can do there's Mintel reports, right, available on beer. You can get Mintel reports for free in your local library. You can read them for free. You don't need to subscribe to Mintel. You can't take it and print it out, but you can go into a library and read it. So why not do that?
This is the first time anyone's ever shouted out a library on the podcast. Like, that's a shocker. I would challenge
cutting edge, Tim. Cutting edge. I've talked about Dad's Army. Now I'm talking about libraries.
Mate, I love this. I was talking about Blue Peter in my presentation.
I must update my culture. But you can't. So I think that's worth doing. Things like the grocer. You can read stuff on the grocer. If you want bespoke data, then it gets a bit trickier. But you can still do it for free. You can, I guess a lot of people listening to this might have their own D2C business, right? They might be selling stuff direct. Well, there's your customer list. You can send out a survey to those people and say, look, we're looking to grow, right? Help us. You guys are our early adopters, and a series of questions, right? That you like an online survey. You can do that on SurveyMonkey. I think it's something like 10 questions or less. It's free. There you go. So you can do it for free, and you can if you wanted to go beyond that to people who don't know about you, who's not in your circle, then you might need to spend a little bit of money. But you could do family and friends. You could put the link on your social media post and say, please share it. Yeah. It's not perfect, right? Because they're sort of friends of friends in that example. So it's not truly agnostic, but for what you need, I think that's a pretty good starting point. It brings, if you've got 100 people are saying this thing versus a buyer or the founder who's saying the opposite thing, yeah, okay, well, it's interesting, but I've got 100 people here that are saying that thing, and you're just kind of one person saying that thing. So where do we sort of go with this? And you're bringing data to an opinion fight.
And this, it also ties back into the demographic versus psychographic stuff, right? Because what I'm thinking now is, okay, we found a way for these smaller breweries to get this information, but actually what is the information they need to be asking from people? Because it's not just, age, gender, and where you live.
Yeah.
There's more to it. Like, help us to understand what are good questions in this case.
Well, you can start with a bit about people's attitudes towards drinking. What I'll do, I'll create some sort of, I think I've got some sort of templated sort of questionnaires, etc. I'll try and sort of debrand them a little bit. I'll stick them on my website for people to have a look at, right? So that people can go and have a
plug of your downloads in the show already, Gareth. We haven't even got to the end, mate. Christ, calm down.
I'm just dropping help bombs.
I'm just trying to help, man. I'm just trying to give back.
Yeah. I may even give you the URL without needing to put someone's email address in it if I'm feeling really generous. But I guess you ask, which of these attitudes do you resonates with you? Click the ones that feel closest to you. A good question to ask, is to ask people about, think of someone you know who buys craft beer or who buys whiskey, how would you describe them? So you're not talking about yourself. It's actually, if you remove the respondent from being the object as well, that often helps you get a slightly more helpful sort of debrief. But I guess what you're looking for is, and I guess the questions are going to be different for what your objectives are and what you're trying to achieve. And I think if you've only got 10 questions in that free SurveyMonkey thing, you want to be pretty precise about what you're asking and quite condensed. But what you're looking for are tensions in there, and ideally you're looking for sort of a difference between say and do. So back to the idea of tradition. So we did a piece of research. So I'll share that. I'll share that with you, Tim. That's the third one. And we said, well, would traditional beers make you more likely to buy them? Purchase intent. And it wasn't that compelling. It was pretty much 50-50, yes or no. So we go, well, is that? But what is it about tradition that's important to people? So it's not tradition for tradition's sake. So if I go back to when I was running the Bulmers brand at Heineken, we found that it wasn't, and back in the day, they had been making cider for 125 years. It wasn't that was interesting to people. It was the fact that we'd be around that long, which made people believe that we knew how to make cider. It was our expertise that was interesting, especially when it came to NPD. And back in the day, it was the growth of Rekorderlig and Kopparberg, etc. So, and they were brands that no one had ever heard of back then. But we said, if Bulmers made this thing, would that be compelling? And people saying yes, because we know you've been around for a long time. Yours would be better than theirs. So we made a fruit cider. I know apples and pears are fruit, right? But made a sort of a red berry cider, and it became the number one fruit cider like within 6 months, because we had a compelling. We lent into what we were about as a brand, but also what consumers wanted. It started with that target audience understanding of, I'm about to spend back then, 5-6 quid on a bottle of cider. I don't want to waste 5 or 6 quid on a bottle of cider. I want it to be a good one. And actually, I believe Bournemouth would give me a good one. So there you go. You put all that together, and that gives you a compelling reason that Bournemouth can do it better than other people. And it also gave us an idea for a TV ad, which was about experimenters wanted, and we wanted people to try new stuff because it's going to be okay because it's from us.
The trusted brand. I can see this being like massive full circle to where we started this chat, which was about, people being busy but not moving forward. And it looks like a lot of the themes are, it's like, well, because you don't know which direction is north, what would make the boat go faster, and who do you need to appeal to do that? So if we bring this to a close, mate, because I feel I have to bring it to the close, otherwise this would go on for hours.
Sorry.
Where can breweries start today, apart from getting their hands on the wonderful downloads that you made accessible at the end of this conversation?
After that,
they've got a little bit of time. They can carve out an hour this week or next week. They can sit down with a booklet and notepad. Where do they begin? Because it's quite a daunting thing to start.
Well, great. I would start by just trying. What do I need to prioritize? What do I need to focus on? And I would start by asking myself a question: am I easy to think of, easy to find, easy to buy? And easy to buy might be a promotional price. There's a bit of price in there, etc. as well. Like literally easy to buy, but maybe easy to think of, easy to find. I think really, be honest. Which of those, where am I falling down on those things? And and I'm going to guess for most people, it's going to be easy to find, right? So who are my drinkers? What are their values? Where are they drinking? What are they looking for in a drink? So for lager, for example, it's often refreshment, or it was back in the day, right? And I still see Camden Pale talking about, Camden Hells, refreshing as hells, right? They're still talking about refreshment there. So if you know that thing that's important to them, how are you talking about that in a way that's compelling to your audience? But you only do that, you only know that by knowing who your audience is, who your core audience is, and then who, if you find a few lookalikes, then that's going to be enough for most people in the short term. So I'll just be working out where the decay point is in my purchase funnel, even just intuitively. That most founders and people in this scale of business, they know. You don't need to do too much research. You can get research to validate it. Most of them will know it's going to be okay, and then go with that. But then focus all your activity for 3-4 months on that thing, and see if that makes the boat go faster.
Superb, sir. Superb. Gareth, mate, I have absolutely loved this chat, man. Thank you so much for your time this morning. It's been amazing. This is the part of the show where I let you tell people where to find you and get in touch. Although you've done that all the way through the show anyway, but sod it. Here you go. Gareth, if people wanted to chat, mate, and wanted to get in touch, where can they find you?
Thank you. I don't want to be too salesy on these things, right? But apologies. So it's a genuine offer of help for people. So we have a website. How modern? bigblackdoor.com/ and then if you go to templates, bigblackdoor.com/ templates, that will bypass the email requirement, and you just go and have a rummage around there. I haven't yet put on the stuff that we've discussed. So I will do that this week. So maybe give it a week. So maybe sort of start of May 2026. For those of you on catch up, have a look at that / templates. I'll get some stuff on there, and on my website, have a rummage around. Right, we offer free half-an-hour chat. There's 3 or 4 of us, depending on how busy we are in the business, and absolutely no obligation, but you get more of this sort of shit.
It's good shit, my man. And I truly appreciate removing the email sign up. That's phenomenal. Well done, man. Good job. If anyone has loved the show, I do encourage you to check out Gareth's stuff. Find him on LinkedIn as well. You're on LinkedIn every now and again. Gareth talks all over the shop about this stuff as well, which is amazing. So do find him, pull him to one side, and bend his ear, because he's a valuable resource, people. But beyond that, Gareth, my man, once again, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Everyone who's been listening, as always, I appreciate you presenting your eyeballs and earballs in this kind of arena. Thank you so much. Those of you listening to this on the podcast, this is Tim from the past talking to you in the future. Again, I appreciate and love you all. Stay tuned. I've got a load of American guests coming up soon because I've just been waxing lyrical and Philly and found a load of them. But until next time, everyone, rock on.
That's a wrap on this week's episode of Branding for Breweries. If you got something great from it, hit follow, like, and subscribe on your favorite streaming app. Or even better, leave a review, share it with your brewery pals, or get in touch, because I want to chat to you. Rock on!